Moderator, remember I have said she's your friend. She could be seated next to you. She could be seated next to you. So if you see someone next to you standing up, please stand and support, help them to come, okay? Unavuta kiti yake, ndio afike hapa vizuri, hata unasindikiza yeye. Ama namna gani? Haya, tuko tayari? Haya, tumkaribishe kwa makofi. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fungua. Asante sana. Karen, please take your seat. Yeah, that one will do. You can use this microphone. We will give you another one for the other panelists. So, Karen is right there. She is ready. I am going to step aside here, and then she brings up her panelists one by one. Once they are all up on stage, I will usher us into the live stream, and then hand this over to Karen to proceed. And then, so Karen, niaje?
Poa sana.
Uko fiti?
Kabisa?
Niulize ile swali lingine?
Hapana.
Uko salama?
Hapana, siko salama. Niko hapa Methodist.
Nilijua. Sasa sawa. Hata mimi niko hapa Methodist.
Nakuona?
Umeniona? Sawa. Na unakaa fiti jo?
Asante.
Form ni gani?
Ni ile.
All right. So, over to you to just bring up your panelists, and then I will let you know when we are ready to go to get started.
Okay.
Right.
Hi guys. It's really awesome to see you. And this morning we're going to be having a conversation about a topic I really love, because this topic, mentorship and leadership, changed my life. It is the reason I am who I am, because of mentorship. I remember this one time, I think I was 23. I just got appointed to serve on the board of NACADA as a director to represent young people. And I didn't know what to do. What do directors do? This older people, the who is who, I'm wondering, okay, so do I really belong? Do I even have a voice? And I remember this lady called Dr. Manguyu. In fact, let me stand up. Dr. Manguyu, a pediatrician at Aga Khan, she pulled me aside after the meeting. She realized I was shaking, and she said, Karen, there's no person better qualified to speak about youth issues on this board than you. So I need you to pick yourself together. I need you to find your voice and speak up for young people in this country. And yes, you will shake, you will be afraid, but the more you do it, time will come when you will be okay. And she kept on mentoring me, talking to me, guiding me, till I became comfortable, found my voice. And now I really cherish it when I see people having mentorship relationships. And I just thought that, for this discussion today, instead of just speaking through it, it might actually be important to have real life examples of mentorship. An older, more experienced man who has and is still mentoring a younger leader and man, and then an older, more experienced woman mentoring a younger woman. So let me invite my panelists to come to the front. Patience Nyange, a journalist. Recently, she ran to be governor, Taita Taveta County. Nadhani tu ni kura zikutosha. And then recently, I think yesterday, got appointed to be the executive director of the Association of Media Women in Kenya. And she's many other things. Please, let's appreciate Patience as she comes to the front. Please have a seat. And ladies and gentlemen, I know you like standing. Please, you don't have to stand. Tulia too. Just take it easy. And then, Patience's mentee was Stella Nderitu. Was and is. Stella Nderitu. And they met when they got paired up when Stella was still, I think, in second year or third year at the University of Nairobi, even before she became a volunteer, then an intern at ELF, then a program assistant, then program officer, program manager. Yeah. Karibu sana Stella. I'm sure we've interacted with Stella and we know her. Stella, karibu. then there's one gentleman, I'm sure if we are on social media, we know this gentleman. He's called Okoth Opondo. He has weekly shows on Facebook live sessions. He has like over 5 million followers, and he has conversations with young people, and he's running a debating club for high schools, all high schools in Kenya. And it was just so amazing a couple of weeks ago to learn that he discovered his mentee when he was still in high school, and they are still having a mentorship relation, a beautiful mentorship relationship. Okoth Opondo, please, karibu sana. Thank you very much. Any. And then finally, there's this young man who has fire in his belly, like literally. Was it 2 weeks ago, he brought together a group of about 1,000 young people from informal settlements in Nairobi, but also from different universities in Nairobi to talk about leadership and their engagement and all that. And he's a current fellow at Emerging Leaders Foundation, I Lead Fellowship. And you must be like 20, is it 21 or 22? But yet you're doing some really amazing stuff. So please put your hands together to welcome Joe Luchiri. Patience, you can take. If you can each put your mic on. Each one of you has a mic. So friends, as you can see, it's not that to even have a mentor or to be a mentor, you have to be 50 or 60. These are young people who are mentors, mentees, and even for the mentees, they are mentoring other people. And essentially that is what will be expected of you, that yes, you will get a mentor, but I hope you can then also pass on those skills by mentoring another young person or another leader. And so we can get started. And please prepare your questions, because I'll be coming back to you for any questions to the panel. And so I'd like to start with Okoth Opondo.
Yeah.
Tell us, who is Okoth? What inspires you, and why do you do what you do?
Okay, great. Habari za asubuhi. Good morning. Yeah, my name is Okoth Opondo, as Karen has mentioned. Let me say I'm in my late 20s, almost approaching 30. But it's always just nice to interact with people, share experiences, and also, of course, get to learn from each other. I currently run a program called Camp D Voices, which is a national debating platform for high schools. We're not doing that. I'm just around the country doing crazy stories on a YouTube channel called The Overall Show. But also, we're not doing that. You know Shujaz? Yeah, so I've got an opportunity of also being DJ Boy. Kama mnajua these characters in the cartoon characters. So through this, having also getting an opportunity to interact with so many young people, the platform we interact with over 1 million people, I can say literally every week. But also with the school programs, currently we are partnering with about 200 and something high schools across Kenya. I was telling Karen, actually, I thought that I was almost going to miss this, because in the morning, yesterday we were recording some shows in Muranga, had to leave very early in the morning, take a bike from home to here very fast, but very happy to be here, and I hope it's going to be a very engaging session. Above all, I'm very interested in politics and governance. 2019, I was the youngest candidate in Kibra by elections. Emerged position 4 out of the 25 candidates that we had, running on independent ticket with a budget of 50,000 shillings, producing posters only. But vile wanasema kura hazikutosha, so another time, sindio? Sasa back to you, Karen.
Wow, thank you so much, and we're just getting started, and it's getting hot and hot and hot. Let's get to Stella. Who is Stella? Why do you do what you do, and what does mentorship mean to you?
Thank you. I didn't even know Okoth Rem. To be honest, I've known him for so long. Yeah. My name is Stella. I am a feminist. I love politics. I am a leader in my own right, and I am a product of mentorship. For me, I was telling somebody yesterday that I have met so many people who say, you guys take advantage of opportunities because we did not have those opportunities. But I have a different story. I always say that I will always say I have had opportunities in my life. And those opportunities have been mentorship opportunities. So from the very start, when I was in first year, I knew I was great. I knew I had what it takes for me to be a leader. And I knew that I am going to actually conquer the world because my mentors always told me that I can conquer the world. And that's why some of you were asking me, how are you running this program? I said I started running this way back because I had the opportunity to run youth projects from way back. So my take on mentorship is that it is possible for young people to be mentored, and mentorship is very, very important in youth development. And yes, it is very, very possible. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Joe, we're coming to you. Tell us a bit about yourself, your journey, starting Kibesco, and what you're doing. You're just a young man, a really, really young leader, yet the things you're doing are really, really amazing. Please talk to us.
Well, it's an honor to be here today. And as Karen has called me, I'm Joe Luchiri. I'm 20 years old. And a Kenyan with the highest post, the post of a citizen. And what do I do? Okay, we started Kibesco. Kibesco stands for Kibera Educational, Social and Cultural Organization, where it's meant to build leaders. So personally, I'm an enemy of poverty. So I believe for us to eradicate poverty in Kenya, then we have to build leaders. So this organization started in Kibera because I understand Kibera is one of the places with the most number of organizations, but with very little change. So what do we need, So we thought leadership is the way to go. Leadership is the way to eradicate poverty because so many programs are there, so many things are happening, but why don't we see change? It's time now not to victimize the people in Kibera, but to empower them to become leaders. And that's why we started Kibesco, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, just to equip leaders, actually young people who can be able to, bring positive change in society and can be able to transform Kenya from a third world country. It's my dream that one day we'll be able to, actually in my lifetime, it's my prayer that in my lifetime we can be able to oversee the transformation of Kenya from third world country to first world country. And what do I think about mentorship? Mentorship is very important. If anyone should succeed, then mentorship is of great importance. And if anyone, especially for leaders, for you to become a person of authority, you have to be a person under authority. And I would leave it back to Karen.
And maybe you can also just say a bit, how did you two meet, you and your mentor?
Okay.
Yeah.
So Opondo is a very special person in my life, my mentor. And he met me when I was in primary school. So I was the president of my school, Olympic Primary, hosting around 3,500 students. So I was a president by election. So I met Opondo, came to our school, and I don't know how he noticed me, but then he came, wanted to see the school at student leadership, and then he met me, gave me his book called Choices Have Consequences. And that's where the mentorship started. That's where we met. And from then on, I really, I've been related to him in what he's doing, in growing in what he's doing. And that's why I'm here today. Yeah.
Wow, let's appreciate Joe. Thank you so much. Patience, you've been a mentor with ELF from inception. And even from inception, you said yes to serving on the board of ELF. And I know you're mentoring many, many people. And I know you also have mentors. And one thing I remember about you is, was it 2 years ago, you mentored a number of young people in Kenya with a passion for further studies. And out of, 100 or so Chevening scholars in Kenya, 39 had been mentored by you to apply for the Chevening scholarship. So what is it about mentorship and you and building people?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Patience Nyange. I am a Kenyan citizen by birth. I hail from Taita Taveta County. I live in Nairobi County. I fight for the governor position in the last election, na kama Karen alivyosema kura hazikutosha. So, there's another chance. I define myself as an advocacy, media and communication specialist. I do everything within my life rotating around media and communications. I have a journalism background many years. When some people are saying they're 20 years old, that is all my life experience, working years. So, well, you have a long way to go. So, this is in relation to mentorship. Stella is my mentee, and I am a mentee of Karen. So maybe it's how did Stella and I meet, how did Karen and I meet? Karen and I met at the Nairobi University, at the University of Nairobi, many years ago in the year 2009 when we were doing our master's degree, and we became friends. You know those friends that you're like, that is a hit, that's got to be my friend. That was Karen. She was one of those meticulous students that you see in class, and you're like, who is she? And then, of course, we used to ask, wewe ni mtoto wa Wakole, bifoli Wakole? No. Yeah, but she was really an excellent, an A student material, and this is exactly what you see today. So we became friends. I didn't know the word really mentorship in such a relationship, because sometimes you look at your friends and you're like, she can't be my mentor, we're just friends. But well, I am a mentee of Karen Wakole, who is executive director, and because I just got a new post as an executive director of the Association of Media Women in Kenya, I'm hoping that Karen too mentors me. Stella, when she joined ELF, and Karen has started partnering mentees and mentors, she told me, Patience, I'm going to send you 3 names. Please mentor those young people. I said, well, let's see how we do this. I'm not very sure what's the formula, but we will do it somehow. And then I got emails. And for Stella, I read that email, finished, read again. I was like, wow, who is she? I was very curious. I wanted to meet Stella. Because the way she had packaged her email to me as mentor, I was like, maybe you're going to mentor me. Because it looked like she had all figured it out. My name is Stella, this is what I do, this is where I am, this is what I want in. It was a very coherent email. And so we met for coffee, I think. We got to know each other, and Stella is my family member. It's been many years now, and I think we've done everything. We have lived each other's story. We've cried together. We've laughed together. She is like my younger sister. I no longer see her as, she's part of my family. And so when we started mentoring each other, I didn't know how to do it, and I was very busy. I've always been busy in my life. So I figured out, you have to be in my space for you to be mentored by Patience Nyange. And so at that time, when I started growing the mentees, I figured out the easiest way for them to get to know me, or for us to mentor each other, and for me to be able to share in their lives and for them to share in my lives, is for them to come home. We used to do a lot of sleepovers when I was young, and I had time. Yes, they will come home, we will tupike pamoja, tuketi pamoja. That's how we mentored each other, or we did our mentoring process. So it became very personal, and I have about, I think, many mentees. I have mentees who are in the professional line. I see some of them in this room, people who've worked together before. And I think it is a relationship that I will say is like parenting in a way. But you have to figure it out, and you have to be committed. And the biggest commitment comes from the mentee themselves. And for me, the thing that really inspires me most to do mentorship is to see how my mentees are thriving. All my mentees are thriving in their areas of profession, for example. Wherever areas that they are shining. And every time I see them shining, I'm like, that's my mentee. I am like, that's my girl. And Stella has been an excellent mentee. So that encourages me. I have really had good mentees, and so that inspires me. My mentors too, I share them with Akna Stella. So mine is a relationship. I have mentors. I share them with, I have mentors, and then I have Patience Nyange, and then I have mentees. So it's almost a circle. And Akna Stella too have mentees. So each year I take new mentees. I ask Akna Stella too. So Akna Stella boasts of themselves as we are the first bonds, and then they're second bonds, and then they're third bonds, and they have been asking me, when is the next baby being born? And I'm like, who wants to be, the big sister? So that we pair them. So it becomes like a circle, and that circle continues.
Wow. Thank you so much, Patience. Let's appreciate Patience. Back to you, Opondo. Has it always been easy to establish a good rapport and a good relationship with your mentees and with your mentors, or is there something you need to do as a person, these leaders would need to do to have great mentorship relationships with their mentors and mentees?
I think even for mine, it has not really been like what I hear people explaining on the panel here, because sometimes certain relationships begin without you really planning. Like you don't just wake up one day in some situations and say, from today onwards, this will be my mentee or this will be my mentor, but a certain relationship begins. Then from this relationship, you realize that there's more to it, that there's something that you can gain from this person, there's something that this person can gain from you. So for me, unfortunately, when I grew up also in Kibera, and I did my primary school in a certain school called Nazarene Primary School. We were 35 candidates in that class, 17 girls and I think about 18 boys. But by the time I was doing my Form 4, I think close to a quarter of that class had been killed, either as a result of crime or drugs or something. Even to date, as we are talking, we still have different parts of this country where going to school sometimes is also seen like, we are taking advantage because we've gone to school, some of us, but there are places that going to school and finishing still is a very big story. When you tell people that I can speak very good English and I'm proud of it and let me just speak it, because you know where you are coming from a place where you could not even speak it, or a place where you could not even use that kind of a language. So when you were very young and you are walking around Kibra and sometimes you look up to somebody, then 2 or 3 months later you hear that that person is no more, either mewawa or something has happened, then you start asking yourself, okay, what is happening? All the good guys or the good ladies or the good men that I'm looking up to, something is just happening that I don't really understand, because the pressures of life are real. So it was becoming very difficult even just to identify a mentor. But you see, along the way you start admiring different qualities from different people. So maybe because I really loved doing debates and public speaking, I knew definitely for this one, let me pick it from this other person. Then for this other thing, let me pick it from this other person. Then life goes on and on and on. So because now every person has mentioned how they met, let me just explain how I met Joe Were. I had just cleared actually high school. Then I went to a certain university, allow me not to mention the name. We led a strike or a demonstration which was very necessary. It was necessary because the university was offering courses which were not accredited. Then we discovered, then we brought the whole university down. Then at that point, got 1,000 academic days away, suspension. And at this time now, your parents don't really understand you because they're wondering, you had a scholarship to go to university, umepeleka siasa university. But you see, sometimes when it is a calling in you always just to stand up and fight for what is just, people might not really understand you in most cases. So I said, instead of staying at home and just passing time, let me just be visiting schools around, because I was there in Kibra when post-election violence happened. I was in class 7 or class 8, I think. Class 7 or class 6. And I remember one of the things that I got from this is that people fought because we could not talk to each other. One day you wake up and you are told, usiongea na kina Kamau, ama usiongea na kina Onyango, ama usiongea na kina Wanyama. Then you ask yourself, we've been playing together all along. Why is this happening? So for me, because I love debates and public speaking, I said, okay, I'll be going to different schools and I want to see if I can change how students debate in these schools. Kibra has a lot of issues: crime, drug and substance abuse, early marriages, teenage pregnancies. Why are children still debating a farmer is better than a lawyer, a doctor is better than sijui nani? And I kept on asking, why is this even important to them? Whether a farmer is better than a lawyer, how is that important? Can we start debating some good motions? So when I went to Olympic Primary, which is the largest primary school in Kibra, and I think one of the largest in Kenya, right now it should be having around 6,000 students. And I met, I had an opportunity of meeting the prefects and the debaters. I really got inspired because he had been elected. In Olympic they conduct the elections. So out of 3,500 students by that time, if you get about 3,000 votes honestly from students, you're somebody. And that is how I identified him. And I'd never considered him my mentee, I think until he was in Form 3 or Form 2. Then I realized this relationship, when I was talking to the mom, to the dad, and every holiday we'd come back and call, and the parents let us be very free to each other. We started talking, I started inviting some of our activities we are organizing, even those that high schoolers are not allowed to attend. So meetings like this, you would just sneak in, and akaa tu pale nyuma, na nasikiza tu kama watu wengine, and life moves on. So it has been a very, very good journey, but I can also say that later on, I also had now to find people whom now can also help me grow, because it gets to a certain point that honestly, even your own mentee, you can mislead these people without knowing. Without, like, you are not even planning to do it, because life has a lot of pressures. At first I used to think that mentors are people who come out of this planet. There are some very, very, very special people. But then I realized they're just normal people. Like in our midst here right now, I know we are all mentoring. I hope we are all mentoring someone somewhere, right? So the journey hasn't really been a nice one, but you really have to keep strong, because issues come. Sometimes you're the person with the issues, sometimes the mentee. Sometimes the people that the mentee himself is also mentoring, sometimes those issues spill over to you, and you always have to find ways of dealing with those issues, yeah.
And as you're saying that, I just remember, and what I know to be true, is that in a mentorship relationship, it's beneficial both ways.
True.
The mentor gets to learn and gets transformed, and the mentee gets to learn and gets transformed as well. So it's not that mentees are the only people who benefit. Mentors get to benefit in a mentorship relationship as well. So I'm glad you talked about that.
Yeah.
And with your mentors, did you reach out to them to say, can you be my mentor? How did you identify your own mentors?
There are those that sometimes you tell them directly that I want you to be my mentor, but then there are those that you make them your mentors without them knowing, but they are your mentors. So they wonder why you are following their lives so closely. So like, I think for the past 3 or 4 years, I've really been working closely with Dr. Alex Awiti of, I think, the East Africa Institute.
Aga Khan.
Yes, Aga Khan.
Yeah.
And, you know, we meet, but we meet in some very weird hours, because Dr. Alex will tell you, you want to meet me? All my programs of the day start at 8, so can you be in my office by 6? So at 6, we'll go to leave my place, be there by 6. He's usually in the office, I think. He's the boss, and he gets to the office even earlier than almost everyone. Then we'll read the newspaper together for 30 minutes to chambue. Then after that now, start talking about life issues. Sometimes these conversations, especially when you're having someone a bit older than you, can get a bit uncomfortable, you know. You know, those who are parental figures. Naanza kukuuliza na unaoa lini? What is the relationship that you have? Msichana uko naye mnafanyiana nini? You know, it becomes a bit uncomfortable, because even for me and Joe, there are sometimes we have to address certain issues. Unaambia bana, I hope wasichana wa high school wasikupeleke mbio sana, unajua. Yeah, but I realize these issues, I mean, we have to speak a lot of issues, especially in this kind of relationship. And I also like the fact that Patience mentioned that once in a while she could invite them over a weekend or a sleepover, because it is during that time that you really get to talk about certain very, very deep issues there. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much. Stella, I come to you. What has been the greatest learning or the greatest benefit you've had from mentorship? And I know Patience is not the only mentor you have many more mentors. What has been the greatest learning for you?
Maybe I can also pick from what he said about asking. For me, I believe in asking. And when I was in first year, the first time I met Karen, it was in a women's conference, and she was a guest speaker. And she really touched me, and I felt compelled to just reach out and find out, what's your name? What else do you do? My name is Stella. And I was afraid to ask, how can I be your mentee? But I asked, I said, what do I need to do for me to be your mentee? And she said, just ask, just ask, yeah? And I asked that she can be my mentor, yeah? So of course the whole process was long, guys. I'll give you that story some other day.
You can give it today, because they are definitely going to face that.
Yeah, so she gave me her card. I was in first year, I said, and I didn't have a laptop. I think I got a laptop when I was in third year or something. So if you went to University of Nairobi, you know Stella Winja. So I called the number on the card, and of course, it didn't go through. For long, that number didn't ever go through, actually. I don't know, I don't think it even worked. And so I said, you know what, she's not picking my calls, so I can as well send emails, yeah? I didn't have a laptop. I had a Samsung. It was not Android. It was not a smartphone, so I couldn't even send emails on that phone. So if University of Nairobi alumni members, you know the comp lab that is near the education building at the gate. So in that comp lab, if you ever went, you pay 10 bob to use the computers there, and it's timed, yeah? Either 10 bob or 20 bob. So I used to go there to send my emails to Miss Karen Wakoli. Hi, my name is Stella Nderito. You remember we met, and I'd like to meet you. I've been trying to call you on that number. It doesn't go through. Then I leave. Then I go to class. So the next day, I'll go check whether she's responded. Miss Wakoli had not responded. It went on and on and on. Guys, like for almost 1 month, I never heard from Karen. Her number was not going through. So what happened, the lady who had invited me to this women's session, I told her, Bede, I've been trying to call the lady, the guest who came to speak to us. We've already talked about mentorship, but she's not picking. No, the call doesn't go through. I've been trying to write to her. She doesn't respond. So she now gave me Karen's number. And that's how I got to reach Karen. So for me, I believe if you want something, you go for it. Like, sometimes.
But what if what you're going for is running away?
Yeah, so I think there will be hurdles. And one of the speakers who came this week told you, life is not just linear. There will be challenges, yeah? There will be ups and downs. But I am a firm believer that if you want something, what you're chasing is also chasing you. That's actually a quote. I don't know by who, yeah? So it doesn't matter how long it will take, it will come. And it was the same journey with Chevening, yeah? I apply, of course, and maybe I need to talk about difficult conversations, because mentorship is about difficult conversations. I think sometimes people see my photos with Patience and they think, Patience loves you. Like, do you ever, but
I love you.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I know you do. I just feel like people do not see the difficult conversations behind closed doors, And I remember when I wrote my Chevening essays and I sent them to her to review, and she was like, no, this is not you. And then now there's the mock interview that you do with other Chevening scholars just to check whether you're okay. And I did it. Of course, guys, I was shaking, and it's Chevenas interviewing me. I'm not sure whether I'm sure about myself, Then after that call, she called me and said, I'm so disappointed. I'm so disappointed. The way you're introducing yourself, Stella, tell me about Dada Power. You've done so many things in the community. You've not talked about what you've done at ELF. You are outstanding, but you're not speaking about who you are. So I think mentorship is about difficult conversations. The other week, I had a call with Karen, and she was like, there's this thing you've been doing, and I don't like how you do it. You're not coming out as a bold person, yeah? And that's what mentorship is about. There'll be difficult conversations, and if you're not willing to listen to those difficult conversations, I don't think then you're willing to be mentored, yeah.
Wow, difficult conversations. Patience, have you ever had yes, you have. What's the most difficult conversation you've had with your mentor or mentors?
Well, maybe before I respond to that, can I just give context?
Yes.
Into Stella's interview during the Chevening. So we are doing this, and we had volunteered ourselves when I lived in Cardiff, because I was a Cardiff student as a Chevener. And I asked Stella and the rest of my mentees, as I leave Cardiff, I don't want to pack my bags back to Kenya. I don't want to pack my duvets, shoes, blah, blah. I just want you to move in, and I move out. So one of you, please come to Cardiff as I leave Cardiff. So please apply for this Chevening scholarship. And Stella says, challenge accepted. And I was very excited. I said, yeah, I know she's going to make it. I believe in Stella like 150%. When she says she's going to do something, she's definitely going to do something, and she's going to give it her A game. So my housemates, we were 4 of us. We made this schedule every time we know we were from classes. We will volunteer our time to teach them and to coach them and to go through their essays. So mimi niko hapo nimejigamba. My mentee, Stella Neritu, I know she's going to come to Cardiff. I had believed it. And her and I had started telling ourselves, you know, the way we would go to London together. We had built some castles that we were like, we really want to see these stories come to pass. And she would tell me, you know, I dreamt we were in a train going to London. I said, keep the dream is coming to pass, which we actually came to pass, and we took our photos in London. We went through a bus together, so all those things came to pass. So I've told my housemates how, you know, Stella, she was going to ask this interview. And then Stella, she disappointed me. Yani, I had no questions for her. Because everyone else had told her, and then my housemates asked me, Patience, is this the Stella you're telling us? I said, yes. The one we just interviewed, yes. But she wasn't that excellent. I said, even I'm shocked. And I felt like, you know what, Stella? I told her, Stella, no. Let's do this again. I am extremely disappointed. So yes, over and over, you have to do these hard conversations, as she says. And because she listens, and because I love her and she knows all the time, I'm coming from a point of love. I'm coming from an honest point that, you know, Stella, I am here for you. And you can trust me. When you have not done your best, I will tell you exactly that. She's told me the same thing. So when it comes to my mentors, now we finished about Stella. And then, you know, she told me, Patience, okay, I'm going to do, please, create some time for me again. I'm going to talk to other people. I'm going to do this, and then I'll come back to you. And when she came back to me, it was a different person. I was like, this is the Stella I know. Now this is you. Now when you go for the interview, that is who you present to the interview. And then Stella came to Cardiff. She came in, and I left the house and left everything. So, well, our dream came to pass. We have spoken about, most of the time, like any other person, and growing up, you have fears in life. You have worries in life. Sometimes you're not sure whether the direction that you are taking is the right direction. And then you pause. And then you talk to yourself, you answer yourself all those questions, and then you just talk to the person to assure me whether I'm in the right direction. So I have a number of mentors. One of my friends, again, who are also friends to Dr. Stella and all my mentees, is the former chairperson of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, Madam Kagwira Mbogori. Again, she's a woman I love with all my heart. So we've had these conversations about my career and about me moving, about my life and everything. And then she tells me, Patience, I'm 38 years of age today. No child, and I'm not in any hurry, and I don't know when it will happen, and I am not feeling very philanthropic on that area. So she goes, you know what, Patience? So we've had this conversation all the time, and she tells me, lakini usinizalie mtoto hata mimi nilee nyanya. Nikuenge nikijua niko na mjukuu hapa niitwe nyanya. I'm like, well, I would love to do that, but I don't feel it. And when I don't feel it, I don't want to be in a hurry to do this. And so we have had a conversation over and over and all the time. Sometimes I meet my friends and they go like, this is another year. Are we getting babies this year? I'm like, no. So with her, she tells me all the time, Patience, believe in yourself, do what you like. If you're going to get your babies at 50, it's fine. If you want to get your babies at 40, it's fine. And because she's 53 plus, she will tell you her life stories in her most authentic self. So sometimes you just want reassurance about everything that we do. As women, I am also a feminist, an apologetic feminist, just like Stella. So sometimes you just want to have the right to everything, your anatomy, you have the right to the decisions that you make, especially where your reproductive health is concerned. So when I sit down and I'm like, you know, everyone wants to say when you get 25, you want to have the first baby. At 30, you're done with childbearing. At 40, your baby is 10 years. I'm like, no, I don't feel it, you know? And so when we speak and she says, it's fine, Patience, I'm just like, she tells me, if and I have one child, I have been there, done that. Well, see, Lazma. I'm like, well, there we are. So some of those conversations are very personal conversations, and are conversations about you and the decisions you make. Yet, we don't live in a vacuum. You live with a whole society that when you're born as a woman, again, this is about women, everyone has an idea of how you live your life, how you sit, how you smile, how you talk, and all these things. But the reassurance that you can be you and define you have been, for me, the most interesting conversations that I have. They give me the freedom to be. And my mentors have been exactly that. Just giving me the freedom to be Patience Nyange.
Wow, that's quite vulnerable. Wow. Have you guys listened to the TED Talk by Brené Brown about the power of vulnerability? Oh, it's really powerful. If you haven't listened to it, please listen to it. There's so much power in vulnerability. And I don't believe it's possible to have a successful mentorship relationship without vulnerability. Vulnerability from the mentee, vulnerability from the mentor, where the mentor actually shares their journey, shares their stories, shares stories of failure, stories of dark times, stories of success, because we don't just want a picture that is glittering, because we want to relate to human beings who have flesh and blood and who have gone through or go through challenges, and we want to know they've actually been able to overcome, or how did they overcome. And so, Joe, that takes me to you. What would you say, and I know you've done quite a bit, you've achieved quite a bit, and so I would ask you the question, what's your greatest achievement as a result of the power of mentorship that you have received so far?
Okay. Yeah, so with Opondo, when, we started this relationship and all, having the difficult conversations, this journey really helped me in who I am today, in the state that I am, the convictions that I have as a leader. I remember one time my parents called Opondo, and to tell him, you have to stop this guy. Opondo made me to become very radical. I was very radical in school. Actually, his book called Choices Have Consequences. This guy has done some crazy stuff in high school, in university. So I read that book and I said, this is what I believe in. I believe in leadership. I believe in proper leadership. And this is what I'm going for, even in high school. And I remember, Opondo, sometimes if you want to know a man, I might not have all the days to spend with Opondo. But you might now want to ask him, what do you read? What do you spend your time with? So Opondo would give me his books. Actually, my first source of books was Opondo. I would come, Kwanzaa, the first one was very good, Boys Be Men. That's the first book he gave me. Then there was another one. Very radical people. I remember 21 speeches that shaped the world. I remember Dead Aid by Dambisa Moyo. And from there, I believed that Kenya is not benefiting from aid. So he called me, Pondo went to an ex and brought me to his house, but not just his house, his room. Then he would, even open up the speeches he likes. Open up a documentary by Lee Kuan Yew, how he transformed Singapore. And now, he was now shaping me, shaping my convictions and all. So I was very radical in high school until the administration was telling my parents, come for your kid. He wants to become a lawyer in school. He's an activist. I was telling these people, leadership is not done this way. We cannot be able to have student leaders who represent the administration. Student leaders represent the interests of the students, and that's how leadership should be. And we had a very major problem in school, almost led to strike and all, but, I finished high school without a suspension because of the grace of God, nothing else. People would listen to me. We'd have conversations and all. So, yeah, and where I am today is, he introduced me to a line of thought of what leadership really is. And the steps I'm making is because of also the bold steps he has made. And I remember one humbling time that really humbled me. In Form 1, Pondo trusted me with his platforms. He gave me his platform to speak. And, one of the, the people in the lineup of speakers were the likes of Dr. Awiti, Nerima, Silantoi Susan. And I'm in Form 1, 2017, I'm also part of the speakers. So it was very, this is someone who has given you the trust. I think that's what mentors should really embrace. You also, give, he was like saying, my market, now have some time with my market. What he has spent 6 years to build, I'm giving you, for him to bring such speakers and to have such an audience, and then to tell me, you're going to have your time to speak about human rights. And I remember, it's like you're giving me this is my market, now market yourself. And I remember giving a speech that day, and Dr. Awiti went and, made a tweet. and he quoted me there. You know, you would love it. You would love it. As a Form 1 student. And then there was also Amina Mohammed, that time Law Society of Kenya president. After that session, you were in Form 1? How? Then it was a very amazing experience. And from there, you would realize that I would say, I'm not going back. I'm running away with this thing. I believe in myself. If Opondo has believed in me, gives me a platform like this, I offer value. And one thing with mentees, once a mentor has really believed in you, what are you offering? Are you offering value? Can I be able to trust you again? And that's what I really made sure, that Opondo would be able to trust me again. That's why Opondo sometimes would be called, activities like in Badili, and then would tell me, Joe, go there. Sometimes he would not even tell me the topics of discussion, but he knows this guy is ready. Whatever thing he's going to manage. So I think that's how I really benefited from Opondo, really trusted me with his, platforms, his personality, because once I send you to represent me, it means you have my DNA. And I think it's very important also in leadership and in mentorship to understand your DNA, because not everyone can mentor you. So you have to identify, this is my DNA in leadership, this is my DNA, this is a place where I want to grow, and this is the blueprint. Who has this blueprint? Opondo. I'm going to follow this guy. Yeah, so I think one of my highest achievements right now is to just be able to engage other people, other young people that I'm engaging in terms of growing, because of also I've been mentored. And it's an amazing journey. I can really talk a lot about this relationship that we've had. Yeah, and with Opondo, I thank God, because there were never emails. Opondo, I would call him at nikimpigia saa sita atashika. Hata yeye anajuanga tu, hata yeye akinipigia saa sita anajua. Even with boundaries, sometimes unajuanga tu, there's a call you see, this, hata kama I have boundaries, I have to pick these ones, So if I see Opondo's call even at 1, I'll pick, because I know this is a serious conversation, and I think that's how we've really grown and fared on.
Karen.
Wow. Yes, please.
I just want to respond to, clap for him. I wanted to respond to something that Patience said, then also come back to Joe.
Yeah.
So Patience said about sharing the real life stories with people. Because I think this is something that we have to be very careful with. There's a very big problem I've had for a very long time, especially most people who do motivational talks. You see, like those who visit high schools. I think it's a very great thing, but sometimes I realize that we have a lot of people who mislead others. So, we do make these jokes, and you see these memes all over that someone says, I started with a power bank and now I own a bank. You've ever heard of these things? Nilianza na harufu ya nyama, right now I own a butchery, but you see, there are things which are so close to that. I've been in situations where someone comes to your school, says a certain very, very weird story, and I wonder why every time when you're going to talk to young people, you must always say, I'm just flying from Sigiwapi, after this I'm heading to Brazil, after this I'm heading to where. Some of these stories, you make young people look like, hey, kuna kitu nafanya na maisha yangu at all, and it's not a good thing. So I like the aspect of sometimes also just telling people the reality. If you've ever been in a problem, like for example with Joe, we go to a point where sometimes I had to tell him, hii kusumbuka ya high school, it is normal, but this is how you handle the issue, this is how you handle this issue. You make people know that whatever they're doing is normal, not that they're living a movie life. You don't really portray a life of an angel, like you've never wronged anyone, you've never messed with your parents, you've never lied to anyone. I think something that is very wrong. Then coming back to the issue of, the relationship now with even how we interact with them, mentor-mentee. I agree that yes, boundaries need to be set, but also sometimes you must also know just exactly when these boundaries can be crossed. But above all, as a mentor, because I realized this was happening a lot around in the lives of people around me, not just Joe, you end up producing photocopies of yourself, which sometimes is very wrong. I think it is very important to help people be who they are supposed to be, what they want to be, not to be you. Because
Yeah.
I've ever seen certain relationships where I'm relating with Karen, then now 2 years later you listen to Karen and you say, isn't that just Opondo talking? Amejisahau kabisa hadi ajui ni nini. So let people be who they are supposed to be, but that is something that you also really have to learn from other people also. Because some people, you know, when people like the things you're doing, some people even change how they talk. When you're training public speaking and you listen to PLO Lumumba, all of a sudden you want to start talking like this guy, you know, as a country, you know, you just have to know, okay, this is how I speak as an individual, these are the things that I can get from this person, but you don't become that person. I think that is that is something that we really need to know also how to frame. And I think it's a challenge that I had with Joe when we were beginning, but along the way we managed to deal with it vizuri. Sasa pia kuwe yeye mimi nibaki mimi watu wengine wakuwe wao.
That's really powerful. Patience before you come in. That's really powerful because we are unique individuals, and it's important for mentors and mentees to then realize we are not creating photocopies of ourselves in other people, but we are supporting people to bring out the best in them, not us in them. Before again you come. Opondo, back to you. In society right now, there's a question about men and what's happening with men. And I know the ELF team is soon launching Men of Honor. They are launching Men of Honor program to where men can mentor each other, older men, younger men, have forums where they speak to each other and support each other to become transformative men, responsible men in society. How are the two of you engaging? Do you have those conversations, those vulnerable conversations? Statistics have indicated that a lot of suicide cases are among men. Men don't talk. So how do you manage to create vulnerability and a safe space to have conversations and still be okay as a man?
So first of all, ladies and gentlemen, help me clap for this for starting that kind of a program. I think I say that without any fear because it is very important. I think in the process of also mentoring ladies, to some point, I don't know whether it is my own judgment or assumption, but I think the boy child is being forgotten in a certain way. I visit different schools all the time. Like I think in a weekly basis, I interact with at least 1,000 students from like 5 different schools. You listen to conversation with girls, you listen to conversation with boys, something is happening. Clubs run by girls in schools are more organized. Clubs run by boys in high school, they're not really as organized as things used to be before. I don't know what is happening. A lot of mentorship is towards girls. And I tell people all the time, so every time we raise this conversation, then somebody tells me, you know, kulikuwa na wakati wenyu. Sasa ni time yetu ya kushine. But then I tell people, no. You see, yule mtoto mvulana, a boy who is 5 years old, who was he harmed that now you want to revenge on him? These ladies that we are mentoring, for those who will get married in the future, for example, definitely you'll want them also to meet people that they can handle. An empowered lady, definitely, now the boys must also be raised in a way that they can manage to relate with an empowered woman, which is very important. Because if we empower one side, then leave the other side, then definitely we are causing a problem. So it is through the conversation about bringing the man, especially the young man, up to speed. It is very important right now. And giving the boy the necessary skills to be the man that we want him to be is not really fighting the girl. Just the same way, empowering a lady should not really be seen as always disempowering the man. Yeah. So as we talk about all these, you realize that men are going through a lot, especially the young men. We are not talking about them. So much is happening, especially at the high school level, but it is believed, you know, as a young man, you can survive. Wewe unajijua, wewe ngangana na maisha, you know. Ujavaa sweta shauri yako, ukipata malaria, ita affect peke yako, right? For a lady, we care so much and everything. So for me, number one is always to see a child is a child, whether it's male or female. Maybe these might really, maybe nitakuwa nimekosea mtu, but that is the reality. A child is a child, whether it's male or female. We need to bring up these two people in a way that they should know that we are responsible people, responsible citizens. So on the issue of men, also just getting the safe space to talk, honestly, it is very difficult, Karen. Because I don't know that it is how we are wired. Maybe the men here can also maybe share the experiences when their time comes. I don't know that it is really how we are wired, but even with our own relationship with Joe and other people, it is so difficult to mine an information from a young man. Sometimes you really have to use other tactics to get that information. You have to use another friend who will use another friend to get the information from this person. Or sometimes you have to use other plans, let's say like reaching out to the parents to get the necessary information that you need from someone, because it becomes difficult to handle certain issues if you don't really know what is happening. But above all, Karen, I think also very important, this is just also general, not just about the relationship between myself and your mentor-mentee. Patience mentioned this, but a bit indirect. You know, it's very important to know the story of each and every person. Some people, the way we are brought up, there's so much that happened in our life that you might never know. Sometimes you blame somebody. Why is this person always angry? Why is this person always this way? But you never know the true story behind somebody. Until the day you get to know that story, then I will get to know how to handle a certain situation. So the issue of safe space, I think this is something that we really have to keep on encouraging, because we cannot keep living the traditional world. And I'm saying this because also as a victim of this, and I think I can just open up about this. I lost my dad in 2016. I grew up not knowing my mom. So all along I knew that my mom was dead. Then 3 days after burial, I realized I have a biological mom whom I had never known in my whole life. And I wondered why my dad kept this away from me for a very long time. You can imagine the effect of that. Now all of a sudden you're realizing you have a father. And we shared almost everything, but there are certain things, the moment I started asking my father, why is this way, why is this way, then you say, no. Wewe ni mtoto mdogo, huwezi elewa. I was 10, I asked, 15, 20, 22, 23. Wewe ni mtoto mdogo, huwezi elewa. Then all of a sudden now you are left in a lot of mess. Then now you start discovering so many things that the moment you keep on seeking for that information, the more you are affected. But now from my mom's side, the moment we met, shared everything within like 1 month. Nishajua kila kitu. So I think on the creating space for men to talk, we have to keep encouraging this. But I think now, on this one, I think we might now need help. Honestly, ladies, you have to rise up and help us achieve this. I think tumelemewa sisi kama wanaume. Work you.
Wow, let's appreciate Opondo. Even just to share that is power in itself. It's healing, it's vulnerability. And you talk about stories, or stories are powerful. And at ELF, we believe in the power of stories. And once you listen to somebody's stories or story, you stop judging. You embrace them. You know them. You understand them. So even when it comes to mentor-mentee relationship, get to know each other's stories and journeys. Somebody had a rejoinder or something to add on? Yes, Patience.
I listened to his stories and then everything I wanted to say. Yes. So what did I want to say?
Then I will ask you a question.
Yeah, but can I comment about the vulnerability, about getting to know each other? As we said, my way of mentorship is not a student-teacher relationship. And that's why I try and bring my mentees in my space. But even when you open up your space, you also want to caution them that my stories, for example, in my house, remain within the boundaries of this. You want to have their trust. You want to believe these are people you trust. These are people who trust in you as well. And therefore, you really want to ensure that they can also open up. We've had sessions in my house and people cried the whole time. You know, we all have traumas that we're dealing with in our lives. We all have fears that we're dealing with in life. And so one of the time I invited one of my mentors to come home, and she came in at 8. I think she was leaving at 6 in the morning. And she asked me, how many people am I meeting? I said, you're meeting 8 mentees. What are the age groups? I said, within their 20s. And right there she said, I'm going to talk to them about navigating life at 20. Because at 20, you're only navigating life. You're getting to know yourself. You are here, finally, you feel like you have some power. You feel like you've really achieved. You're no longer a teen, and now you're here. But you know, that's where you can either make or break your life. And so she started by asking them, what are your fears in life? And so in a setup with the young ladies, all of us here, seated in a round circle, in a, should I say, like, a carved way, we can look at each other, we can hear. You listen to those stories. And my younger sister, our last born, is also one of my mentees, in a way. And I will tell you what she told us. And when she's finished speaking, she was crying, I was crying. Because most of the time, some of these traumas, they are traumas, but we don't know about them. As a last born in a family of 5, the question she asked herself was, one of my biggest fears is, when do I start living my life? I feel like I've been living everyone's life. Everyone has an opinion about my life. I was firstborn has an opinion, secondborn opinion, my parents have an opinion, everyone has an opinion about how I should live my life. So at 23, I don't know when do I start living my life. And that is my biggest fear. And she said, I come from a family of very opinionated people. And so all the time, I feel like I'm questioning myself. I feel like, when I do this, I hear Patience's voice. Don't do that. When I do this, I hear, no, that's not the right thing to do. And then she broke down, and I was like, oh my God. And you can imagine it's a very honest thing that she said that I didn't know. And from there, for sure, I let her go. I said, you know what, live your life. I'm sorry for all the trauma that I've caused you as a big sister. And so, I'm the second born. I have an elder brother, so definitely I'm the big sister. I have a say, okay? But well, I realized I didn't have a say. And so I remembered what I wanted to comment on is replicating who you are in your mentees. And because I have a coach, and my coach all the time told me, Patience, you love your mentees too much. I don't want your mentees in your house. I don't want them to come to your house. You will go and visit them, and all of a sudden you find that they want your house, their houses looking like yours. They can't do that. You're at a different age group altogether. They want to see everything that you do. That's how they would do it. Please set them boundaries. Put your mentees somewhere, meet in a coffee date somewhere. And when I explained to Stella, their biggest backlash was like, drop that coach. We still want to come to your house. So while it's true, sometimes you love them so much that you feel like you have a say in almost everything. Again, I learned I don't have to have a say in what they do. And in the same manner, as I said, I want my mentors to give me the freedom to be Patience Nyange. It is exactly what I want my mentees to have the freedom to be who they are, to have the freedom to be Stella Neritu. I watch from her side. I like what she does. I follow from her side. She'll come back and tell me, Patience, XYZ, I'm learning from a distance. I am not in her space. So it's fine to be able to create those spaces and say, I am not Stella. And Stella is not Patience. But in our diversity, we make life beautiful. So be who you are, not what your mentor wants you to be.
Yeah.
But understand that this path you can discuss and you can share stories. Please guard those spaces. When someone invites you to their houses, they have opened such a big door for you. When they invite you in their space and they tell you the vulnerabilities of their lives, they have told you, you are here, you are part of my life. Guard those spaces.
Thank you very much. Stella, if you were to say one thing to your younger self, knowing what you know now, what would that one thing be?
It would be that don't be apologetic for who you are. And I learned that from my mentor. At some point, I felt I needed to change who I am because I'm very opinionated and I like to speak my mind. And I somehow worked in an environment where people around me were not so comfortable with that voice. And so I began to listen to voices in my head saying, you know what, calm down, try and suppress yourself, yeah. I wish I knew then what I know now, although it lasted for such a short time. I wish I was there to remind myself, you know what, stop caring too much about, But I'm happy that we had that conversation, and you're like, you actually sent me a song, and you said, it's by Clarkson, and it says, just, I am me, I am enough, So I wish I reminded myself more then when I was younger, yes. Now, I'm a bit grown now, But I wanted to add something, Karen, because PSELF fellows will soon get their mentors. And I know there'll be high-level mentors, especially in government. And sometimes it can be a bit intimidating. I saw it with my peers. So we had a number of sleepovers at patients' place, but then I made it a point to reach out personally and say, Patience, how is your week looking? Can we have coffee? Funso, how is your week looking? Can we have coffee? Karen, I know you've traveled. When you come back, can we have coffee? So it's okay to ask, guys. Just pick your phone and call and say, I was just wondering, are you available? I'd like to talk. And if you have something that is disturbing you, especially about applying for new jobs, I've been there before, but when you get that, a bit of clarity, sometimes you need somebody else's opinion on things, Don't be afraid to call and say, I would like to, catch lunch somewhere and we can talk. Just don't be afraid, because I know that's what stops most people. And then the next time you have a session, you're asked, have you met with your mentor? No, I think my mentor is so busy. Everyone is busy, and Opondo has said that Dr. Awiti, who actually is in your steering committee, the PSELF steering committee, he says, if you want to see me, let's meet up at 6, That has happened to me so many times. So don't be afraid to ask, guys. It's better to try than to never try,
And we have not because we ask not.
Oh, yes.
We have not. And you only get in life what you have the courage to ask for. Joe, if there's one thing you would say to your younger self. He's young. Younger self. What would that one thing be, knowing what you know now?
Okay. Maybe before I go there, just allow me some little latitude.
Yes, please.
To just add on, the question of replicating the mentor. I understand some people can be very powerful. You can have a very powerful mentor, and they are very contagious. You can have people that can be very contagious. It's not because you want to be like them, but because of their personality, very strong personality. So how do I cope with that? What Opondo was saying, have that time of solitude, you alone, meditation. And if you are a person of faith, bring in prayer there. There's a time now I sit down and I tell, God, now package me. There's this and that. What we get from mentors is the secrets. That's why we talk about stories. So what are the secrets? So once I know the secrets they have used, then I build upon the secrets, but in my life, in my own unique way. So how do we get our unique self? Through that time of meditation, solitude, and if you're a person of faith, remember prayer, tell God, now package me, this is my line, this is where I want to be, now package me with what I've gotten from Opondo, with what I've gotten from Karen, now package me, I bring this all together, now how do I bring myself out of this? So that's an important note to have. What I'd tell my younger self really would be, sometimes you go through life and you don't know why. I would tell myself that, don't worry, it would make sense in time. Everything would make sense. Everything happens sometimes so that, to bring the giant out of you, giant out of yourself. Some things you go through because of the destiny that you have, the magnitude of what you're supposed to do in this life. So the intensity of the things you're going through, how hard things can be, should tell you that God, maybe life wants to get the strong self out of you that can be able to, bring what you're supposed to do in this earth to fruition. So if you're supposed to be a leader who's going to transform Africa, you have to go through some heat, because with Africans, manze, it can be tough. It can be tough to deal with Africans, to deal with people, and where do we start? Where do we start? Even, when you talk about development and all, where do we start? Is the world happy that Africa should succeed? So some things are just to build your muscles. Can you be able to survive in such a high tension, environment. So even growing up, the things you're going through, God is, building your state of mind, state of, strength to be able to sustain you in future. So some places you go to, by the way, I transferred from Chavakali to, when I was in high school, from Chavakali High School to Kakamega School. Why? Because of the leadership issues and all. So I said, before they kick me out, let me transfer. So I realized the things, life was very difficult in Chavakali. And when I was going to Kakamega School, listening to people, they're complaining. I was asking, why are you complaining? Life is good in this school because of the place that I was in. So sometimes the things we go through are to prepare us for the things that are ahead. We find it more easy for us because there was a level of preparation that we went through. So don't worry, it will make sense. Just keep growing. Yeah.
Wow. I had the honor of meeting Joe's father 2 weeks ago. He stood on the stage and then he said, "Oh, my son, I am so pleased in you. He is so proud of you. And I am very proud of you." I come to you, audience. Questions, any question about anything. These leaders here are vulnerable, mentors, mentees. They are open to any question you want to ask about them. So,
While you think about your questions, I'd like to ask Karen a question. So I'm a journalist by profession,
Wow.
and I am allowed to ask questions.
I'm the moderator.
Yes, I know. What will you tell your younger self, Karen?
Wow. I would say, do not worry. It will be okay. This is because I worried a lot as a young girl. I worried a lot. A few things were not working out, and I remember this particular time. I was sharing this story yesterday with fellows in our program called Tunaweza. That at some point, I was in this media house where I was working, and things were crazy, so I quit. And at that point, I didn't know what else to do. I didn't have a plan B, but I said, you know what? Let me see how life works out. But little did I know that I was pegging my personality, my purpose in life on the job and on the money I was earning, on what I was doing, and not essentially on me. So I remember leaving the city, going to the village, doing farming with my mother. And I was feeling like, who am I? Like, what is life without the job? What is life without my salary? What is life? Like, really, what's the meaning of life? And I was telling the fellows yesterday that I feel like that was the greatest gift for me, because as I was doing the farming with my mother and having conversations and feeling like I've lost everything, that was actually a moment where God was forming me and shaping me to realize that I am enough, I am worthy, just as I am. And I do not need anything external of me to make me valuable or worthy or enough. And that I have a purpose beyond a job, and I am not what I do, I am not what I've been through, I am not the failure, I am not the success, I am just me, a special human being. Yeah. Thank you. So there was a hand here. I would like to have several hands up, and then, so there's one hand, so number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. 2 mics, okay. Number 5.
The next one was.
Okay, good morning once again. My name is Geoffrey Gaido, and I'm delighted to be in this room hearing those stories. They are really amazing. So my question both to the mentee and the mentee, the mentor and the mentee, is there any by any chance that you ever felt that you want to terminate this relationship, probably because either the mentor or the mentee was not working towards the direction that you are taking? And my second question is, how did you handle no as an answer? Probably you wanted to take this direction, and your mentor told you no, use this direction. How did you handle that situation? Or how did you take that no as an answer? Thank you.
Okay, good morning. My name is Hazel Kusa. In one segment, I shared my story. And I said when I reported for internship, I was taken through mentorship in a boardroom. And it is this lady right here who took me through the mentorship. And my professional journey has been, with the challenges I've been able to address because of her mentorship and the mentorship of Madam Kagwiria. So yeah, we will take mentorship as intentional as we can so that we can be better versions of ourselves. And thank you, patience. I am because you are.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Kyoko. I have two questions. So number one is about now when you are considering to have a mentor, is age of essence? I mean, if I'm 30, can I be mentored somebody at below my age? Secondly, is there a time you, after being mentored, you say, it's time now, I exit? Like, it's now end, go to the east, I go to the west. Yeah.
Good morning. My name is Mercy Makio. My question all of you have mentored, you've been mentored. As a mentor, how did you probably handle a mentee who was not really sure about, like, where do they want to go, who they really, really want to be? So, yeah, that's my question.
Yes, we can respond to those, and then we take another round.
Thank you very much for those questions. And as I invite the panel to pick any question and respond to, we've had, I think, about 5 or so questions so far. Yesterday, there's a young man from Kenya who is in Rwanda on a MasterCard Foundation scholarship, pursuing a course at the Africa Leadership University. He wrote to me a message on WhatsApp and said, Karen, you know what? Remember, I was a president of the cohort I was in at Emerging Leaders Foundation, and I learned so many things. And guess what? Last week, I was elected the president of the Student Council of the University of the Africa Leadership University. And I owe it to my mentor, and I owe it to the journey at ELF and all that stuff. And you guys will get to meet his mentor, who is a great mentor at ELF, together with Patience and a number of others. So the journey of mentorship comes with a lot of successes, a lot of beating the odds, and all that, and it's just beautiful. So let me start with any one of you that is ready to respond to some of the questions that have come up.
Well, I'm happy to start. And when you ask whether is there an exit door, I think for me as a person, when you become my friend, you will have a lifetime guarantee of staying. And you can leave at your own pleasure. Just like you came in, you can always leave. The thing that has happened with my mentees, they have grown a relationship of their own. They are sisters. They check on each other. I see their comments on Facebook, commenting on each other. Sometimes I don't even comment. I see their conversations on, because I am added in that group, so I'm also in that group, but I'm in that group not as their mentor, but as friends, as sisters. I have had 2 mentees leave, but because we didn't have a relationship as such. They were added, and then I think, the way you expect, they wanted to do something. And I realized later when we wanted to figure out, because I will come to you and ask you, is this relationship working? I'll be very concerned at the beginning, but I'm equally busy. And so she realizes very close to Kagwiria, and I think Stella knows this story, and she really wanted to have a relationship with Kagwiria Bogori, who was my former chair, for the former chair of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. So her easiest entry into that was Patience Nyange. And then I introduced her to the mentorship we were having with Kagwiria, because even Kagwiria started her own mentorship, which we try to model it just a few people, and we will do boardroom mentorship like that. And then she figured out what she wanted was not what Kagwiria was giving. And so she chose to leave. And I was very happy that, it's always good that when you know your needs and you know exactly what you want, and when you realize it's not the kind of thing you want, you feel free to exit. It's not like a mentee is not your sister. It's not your brother. So hamna relationship ya ni lazima muishi pamoja, ama ni lazima mkuwe na uhusiano. We are very good friends outside there. She's not my mentee. So it's okay, you can leave. Or when you get there and then you realize, see, hivyo nilikuwa nataka, it's fine. Ama sometimes mentors are people you see, you admire from a distance, and then you get to know them and you're like, it's not the kind of person I thought she was. Or it's not the kind of person I thought he was. And then you realize, or maybe the values don't match. And it's fine. If you're with somebody whose values don't match, it's okay to quit, guys. It's okay to quit wherever relationship you are in when you're at a point you say, we are not seeing a future together. Yeah? So for me, for my mentees, we have had a long relationship. We've been here for ages, like Estelle, I think it's almost 10 years very soon. So to me, she's my younger sister. I love her and she knows that. And she loves me and I know that. So she can stay here. One day she comes and tells me, Patience, I want to exit. I'll tell her it's been real. It's been good having you still in my life. And I'm happy to see you go. Adios. And she will go. But when we meet, we have a cordial relationship. So see, hatuna relationship ile ya boyfriend na girlfriend, ya kukosana, la hasha. Tuko na relationship, we're doing life together. We're in this journey called life, celebrating each other, getting to know each other. These are the sisters you didn't have, that God didn't give you, but you've made them your sisters. And in the same one, I have male mentees. Those are my brothers I didn't have, but they are my brothers now. So, well, that's my explanation about exiting. If you want to exit, feel free to do so. I mean, you're at liberty. No one is really tying you to a mentor. You don't like them, it's okay. If you get a relationship, and for me, I've grown my mentors as I progress in life. My professional mentors every time are in different stages. Now I become an executive director, I want to be mentored in that role. Tomorrow I become the CS, I want to be mentored in that role. So I keep looking for people who will mentor me in each stage that I am in. So those are professional mentors. And then I have my personal mentors as well.
Thank you very much. And also just to add to that, you can have as many mentors as you want in different aspects of your life. I have many mentors. And somebody asked about whether it's okay or it's possible to be mentored by somebody younger than you. Oh my goodness, I have many younger people who mentor me. And the greatest example is the staff members at ELF. I am actually the oldest at ELF, and all these people you see seated at the back and standing here, Anne, Kim. I remember this particular time. Let me just share this example. When COVID hit, one of the interns called me aside and told me, Karen, have you had conversations with individual staff members to know how we are doing? I said, no. And I said, okay, but why? Is it important? Should I do that? And he said, yeah, I think it's important. And I said, okay, let me start with you. What's happening in your life? He opened up, shared something. Then I went around, had conversations. And what I discovered actually made us, as an organization, to change tact in terms of how we were working, started working from home, started checking in on each other, discovered some people are extroverts, others are introverts, and the COVID and working alone was bringing up a number of issues that had not been foreseen. That was mentorship. That is mentorship. I learn a lot from my team, my colleagues who are way younger. So it is possible and okay to have people who are way younger. I have a 77-year-old mentor. I have a 63-year-old mentor. And I have mentors who are younger. And I do the same as a mentor as well. So it's okay. Like learning has no location to say you can only learn from people who are this age or that. No. We learn every day from people who are young, from old people, from strangers, from age mates and peers. Learning, like, yeah. There's no preserve of knowledge. Everybody has it. Joe, we can come to you.
Actually, maybe I just wanted to comment on the same, maybe to just add on what Karen has said. You know, the reason why Karen would learn or would be mentored by a younger person is because she's ready to submit. So submission is very key. You know, for a cup to take water from a tap, it has to bow, even if it's a golden cup, right? So the aspect of submission, for you now to, this person is younger than me, but can I be able to submit? If I can be able to submit, then I can be able to learn and to be mentored. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say in terms of, can a younger person, it's okay. Actually, I also mentor people. I'm a mentee to Opondo and Karen, but I also mentor people. And in terms of when to exit, somebody told me, one time told me, Manze, what I'm looking for, it's not here, and I want to leave. And that was my first experience of that. Of course, I felt some pain. Yeah, so, but now I came to learn, I'm not called for everyone, right? There's a people that I'm called to, not everyone. So that consciousness is also there. How do you handle those people who don't know what they want to do, who they want to be? I would say this. We have a lot, because especially in Kibera, people come, they don't know what they want in life. Listen to them, you say, hey, we need a miracle. So how have I handled them? What I've done is, I would also maybe get advice from mentors here. But how I've handled that situation is, I've told them these are the principles. The principles cut across everywhere. So that place where you may want to get to, that place of specialization, use this principle. Or you would also tend to give people roles. They don't know where they want to be. Try give them this. Unaona, they are, resenting and all. But definitely there's a place you realize they have interest in. Unaona. Yeah, so that's how I respond to the questions.
Thank you very much. Stella?
Yeah, on the same note, how do you guide a mentee who is not sure about what they want to do? I currently have a mentee volunteering at Dada Power who, she knows that she wants to do a lot of community work, but she's not sure what exactly she wants to focus on. So what we've done is, I don't want to look at her and say, I think you're very good at this. No. So what we've agreed to do is, we'll do a number of things, different things. Sometimes she'll write reports, sometimes she'll attend meetings, and then we'll just debrief on how did you find that? What do you find so outstanding about it? So it's a process, it's a journey, because even us, nobody has everything figured out, right? You learn along the way. So the more opportunities you get, the more you get to discover yourself. And one of the things that she's done, she's joined a leadership development program at PSELF. It's called iLead. You guys can check it out. And what that program does, it makes you more self-aware. And then, the more you're self-aware, the more you get to know what exactly stands out for you, your purpose, what you like to do, what you don't really want to do with yourself, yeah. So it's a journey, really. And I think mentorship really, really plays a key role in that.
Thank you, Stella. And it's okay not to know. It's okay not to know. It's okay to have questions and not have answers to those questions. As we live life, as we go through the journey of life, some questions get answered, some not, and it's okay. Opondo?
Yes. Karen, even before responding to that one, you mentioned that you have a 77-year-old mentor. That's very interesting. There's somebody I met last year but one. And I do say things just happen. I met a gentleman called Professor Washington Omondi. He is the only surviving people among the 5 who are commissioned to write the national anthem of Kenya. And I think he's turning 90 this year. I don't even know how we managed to even to form a relationship. There are things that you are told, then you see like it is history. So I was introduced to him by someone, and I was told, there's this person here. You ever heard of a constituency called GEM, right? GEM constituency. So there's a place that literally said when you throw a stone, you are likely to hit a professor, and it is not a joke. Because from the prof's home is Professor Magoha's home, then to Professor. Homes are just prof. That is how that village is. So one time he invited me to his place, Professor Washington Omondi, and he lives in Karen but spends most of his time at the countryside. And he told me, I want to sit down with you. I want you to take you back where this country came from. So he was studying in the UK when he was 22. Then he said one time, he saw this Kenyan leader who came to the UK and wanted to meet African students. Who was this person? Thomas Joseph Mboya. And when they were in this one big hall, he raised up his hand and wanted to ask Tom Mboya a question. Then Tom Mboya told him, what are you studying? He said, okay, I'm doing music. because he did music as a course. Then he told me, Kenya is getting independence in the next 6 months, and we do not have a national anthem. I want you back in the country immediately. They were brought in Nairobi, all closed in Gill House, and they were told they're not leaving that room without delivering the national anthem. He's still alive to date. He wrote the national anthem in Kiswahili. Then he says, sometimes he wonders what happened, because they never translated in English. Someone did and made a mistake. E Mungu nguvu yetu, O God of all creation. And he says, how is that even a translation of E Mungu nguvu yetu? They said that is not what they delivered. But something that I've really learned from these people is that you want to know the history of a place, or definitely now, to me now, that's now where the age really matters, because definitely people who came before you now know certain things. But as Karen says, mentors can be from all angles. Some can be younger, some can be older. The relationship that you form with these people is very, very, very key. Because now, for example, with the prof, when I started doing now the YouTube videos that I do in my channel called The Overall Show, I called him and told him, I'm heading to Butere, a place called the Mwale Medical and Technology City. You've heard of this city? There's someone investing in I mean, because I thought it was a joke. Then I went and I saw someone is building his own airport. He has done like power station, 10 megawatts. He's doing the entire city right now has been disconnected from the national grid. They are all using solar. Over 70,000 families. I told the prof that I'm going, and he said, can I go with you? And I wondered, I want to walk with somebody in his 88. Will even really understand what I'm doing. Every time in the picture, hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. He'll be wondering what is that. But you know, he really enjoyed, and by the end of the day, he was telling me, you made me admire when I was a young man. And I told him which years exactly I told him. When he was telling me, you made me think of my age in 1950. I was wondering, 1950 something, my dad was not even born. This guy is telling me stories of things that I can't really even understand. But I really understand. Once you form this relationship, always make it a win-win. Because I've been also in situations where Joe or any other person that I mentor, once in a while someone will call and ask you, hey, bro, jana tuliongea na wewe huko una sound sawa. Are you okay? Hatujakuzoea kuona nywele yako ukifika level fulani. Kila kitu iko sawa. You know, these are now the kind of relationships that you want. Hatujakuzoea kuona ukivaa hivi. Are you really okay? Because I think those are very, very important. I'll also add on something. My first experience at a workplace, I think that is usually also a place, first days in office, I think you really need someone to coach you. Because you go to an office place, ujui kama unapendwa ama ni excitement the first times, yeah? You don't even know how to respond to certain emails, for example. How do you handle yourself in a certain meeting? Who do you always need to report to? Because sometimes you are joining a company, then you are told, you know, now you're the youngest staff member. All of a sudden, umeanza kuwa na kierere mingi, ujielewi, you know, these things happen a lot. But then now you just need someone who can also guide you. This is how you handle yourself. This is, for example, you have offices, maybe which you are told every week there's usually an office presentation of a lunchtime, and you're the person doing it. Always thinking that, okay, fine, I'm smarter than everyone. No. I think you really need even to know where you to make a boundary zako. I think that is very important. On the issue of challenging, someone there, I think, asked on, sometimes you've had a mentor either wanted to change your direction on what you're doing. I think there was a question from somebody before Kyoko. Yes, you're the one who asked about it, right? Yeah, so I think this one happened a lot, and that is also, I'll bring it back to Karen, the issue that Karen raised. You have the power to say no to this and no to the other one. Because there's a time I was telling one of the people that I was really working close with, I was interested in joining politics, and he kept on telling me, sasa umeamua unataka kukuwa mwizi uibie wa Kenya. And I said, no, it is not always about that. And he told me, no, you know, I'm older than you, you can never. And I told him, no, we can always start viewing things differently. I kept on even giving him examples. But you see, if you realize that the talk is always negative, na unaumia, what should you do? I think personal happiness. Rose Mwanda alisema raha unajipatia mwenyewe, si ndio? Yeah. Asante.
Atumeamua ukuwe mwizi uibie wa Kenya. Oh, that's so interesting. Thank you for responding to that. Now, as you are aware, we are live online, and it's amazing to see comments coming up. And there's this particular one. From Aflin Taffy. She's in the US right now. And oh, then there's another Aflin. Who was in your class? Cohort, the first cohort, Aflin, Afi. Yeah. So so I thought this is that Afi. Okay. So Afi says, can you kindly demarcate knowing people and mentorship? Sometimes you're told you need to know people when you're trying to wade through the workplace in order to grow. Or you need a godfather, godmother. How can you have clarity of purpose in mentorship? And this is another follow-up to that. How can you make mentorship seamless amidst the difficulties and vulnerabilities without the mentee feeling belittled? Let me repeat that. The bit about godfather, godmother in the workplace, how do you, demarcating between needing to know people versus, just thriving in mentorship, and then how can you make mentorship seamless amidst the difficulties and vulnerabilities without the mentee feeling belittled?
About knowing people in an organization, and I think it depends with how that relates to mentorship. So I don't know whether her question was whether you have to know people for you to have mentors.
There's that perception that you get to the workplace, you have to know people, or you need a godfather, you need a godmother.
No, because I've worked in a few organizations now, and I have not had to know people as godfather or godmother for me. I think at the end of the day, there are people who may have benefited from having a godfather, which I think that's always debatable. But I think if you are competent and you're good at what you do and you can speak for what you do, you really don't need a godfather or a godmother. And by the way, I worked for an organization where the people we thought are gatekeepers, there was an overhaul of the organization, and the people we thought are gatekeepers actually left. So I don't think it's a thing unless you believe it is, and if that's what you believe it is, then you'll never then want to grow yourself because you think you need a godfather or a godmother. Yeah.
Thank you very much. What about the difficulties, and has any one of you ever felt belittled by a mentor? Or have you ever received feedback that you have belittled a mentee?
No, I think mine was feeling belittled, and because I always believe if I learn something from somebody and I didn't like it, definitely I wouldn't want to make another person feel. So if a mentor made me feel a certain way and I felt wrong about it, then definitely I wouldn't want someone else to feel. So I'll try do something different. So this person who told me about the same thing when I shared my journey, that what I wanted to join, and he didn't just stop there. He went ahead to tell me that there's a time he tried and he did not make it. So who am I? Then I realized this is a very, very wrong relationship that we are having, because kila mara ananiambia stop it. But also just to add on Stella, the issue, you just mentioned something about the workplace, yeah? I think most of the time also we find ourselves in our workplace, then you don't really even know between a mentor, a friend, and a colleague. Because sometimes you're in a workplace and all is well. Then you realize when you leave that organization, there's no one you can even call, even to have a conversation with, because it was just a colleague relationship. Once you are gone, it is done. But at the office, you talk, unajiambia huyu tunaenda mbali. This looks like a true friend. But the moment you leave this office, that relationship is done. So I think even with the issue of acquiring a mentor, this thing to me is more of a journey that you really have to take. Now, it's not like a one-day thing, and you cannot even say that you've mentored someone within one day, but it's just a journey that you develop and work with someone.
Karen, I however think there's a whole other conversation about navigating office politics and strategically positioning yourself in a way that makes you thrive, and not really. And that's why I always recommend for people to read the book, Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office, because work is not just about arriving in the morning, finishing, and then leaving. There are techniques you have to learn and practices that you have to learn that make you stand out, yeah? For instance, I think your direct supervisor needs to, in one way or another, support you, do your work excellently, yeah? And it doesn't matter whether they like you, which again is a whole conversation, but emotional intelligence is key, and that's part of navigating office politics. So there's that, and there is even, I think it's a TED Talk that talks about sponsorship in organizations, that you need that one person who in a board will put in a word for you because you do a good job. That is not just about working and finishing reports and going home. No, you do need people who support you to thrive at your workplace, yeah.
Can I add? Because
1 minute.
1 minute. I hear
minute.
you've mentioned about the things that are written about sponsors, mentors, and the difference about the same. And I think for women, a lot of the time there's this, maybe, I'm not sure about men, but I think women a lot, we like this tendency of likability. I have to be liked by everyone for me to thrive. Drop that. You don't need to be liked by the whole office. You need to do your bit. What you should be thriving for is respect. That people should respect you and that you should respect other people. But you don't really need to have everyone liking you. At the end of it all, really, you are there to work and you have deliverables that are very key. So with women, most of the time it's this the whole idea of, you know, they don't like me, you know, I need them to like me. No, you don't need the whole office liking you. And then it comes to the same thing as you're saying, you need a godfather. Again, I speak about women issues most of the time because it's a pet subject to me. Every time a woman grows, we always want to see who is her sponsor, who is really speaking on her behalf. But as long as you're meticulous in what you do, the world will notice. And the bosses who will love you, and some of those bosses will be male bosses. But it doesn't mean that they are there to sponsor your journey. They are there to recognize that you do a good job. And when they put in an award for you, it's not because they're sexual favors. No, it's because you're good in what you do. And therefore, when there's an opportunity for them to say they will easily go, Patience can do this job. Not because there are any other things that they're benefiting out of that saying, but it's just because you're good at what you do. So for me, I keep telling young people, strive to make a name, and make a name in a dignified manner. In everything that you want to do, give it your very best shot. You never know who is watching.
Wow, thank you very much. And as we draw towards the close of this particular conversation, a number of things are coming up. Kim, please keep bringing the questions just in case they are there online. Godfather, Godmother. You guys are aware that the Public Service Emerging Leaders Fellowship is a collaboration between Emerging Leaders Foundation, Emerging Public Leaders, and the Public Service Commission of Kenya. I was in Ghana a few months ago and happened to meet one of the alumni of the program, currently working in one of the government offices. And he said, you know what, I used to believe that I needed a godfather to get into government, but I got into this I stringently applied, then competitively went through the interview, then got into this program. And the more I entertained the thought that I needed to have a godfather or godmother to rise through the ranks in public service, the more I was stagnant. But the moment I had a mentor who taught me and guided me and walked with me to realize that it's my effort, it's my discipline as a person, it's how I show up as a leader that will make me rise through the ranks, I let go that idea that I needed a godfather or godmother to rise. And right now, I just got promoted to be this and that within the public service, and I'm a young person. So I would like for us to do away with that notion. I remember when I first applied to join KTN, I applied for internship. A number of my classmates were like, oh, you know, we need to know people in different media houses to apply for internship before graduation and all that. And I just thought, you know what, I don't know anybody. But I'm so passionate about this media thing, so let me just apply. So I applied, submitted my letter, then I received a call. I go to this studio and I meet, then the managing director was Farida Karone, I think the former PS Lands or something. Yeah. So she started to interview me and asked me, so what do you do? I said, I'm a student, I'm studying this, this, and that. And she said, did you watch news yesterday? I said, no, you know, we don't have a TV at the university, and the only one that is there, you know, people monopolize to watch soccer and, you know, all that, so I didn't watch news. Then she said, did you watch news today? I said, no. Then she said, did you watch news last week? I said, no. Then she said, so do you know what's happening in the world? I said, no. And she said, so what have you come to do in this media house? We are about news and, you know, all that. Alinipea msomo by the time I was done. And I'm glad she still gave me the chance to join the network. But that just taught me something. You want something, go for it. Like, you want to get into aviation or media or farming or whatever it is, start learning and understanding what is happening there. Get mentors around that and you know, just get ahead, but you don't need to know anybody. And finally, please don't ever be in a relationship where you are belittled. Whether somebody is the who is who, you're thinking they can mentor you, billionaire, millionaire, this business person, this amazing farmer, this amazing teacher, whatever, but then you get to have that first encounter and they're looking down on you. Oh man, no, please say no. Please, you asked a question about please say no. Yeah, because mentors and even coaches are, and people we get into relationships with, whether it's a mentorship relationship or whatever other relationship, let it be people who see the worth in you, people who see the value in you, people who see the beauty in you, the potential in you, and not people who put you down and belittle you and tell you, oh, you can't be this, you can't be that, or I failed, so you can't. No. Mentors and the people, the associations we choose to have, let those be associations that honor who we are. They honor our dreams, they honor our aspirations. I remember a number of times when I was starting Emerging Leaders Foundation, I had some people in my circle who were telling me, no, you will never succeed, you'll never make it. You need money, but you're poor, and you know, all that. And I had some who were telling me, no, just keep going, yes, you will fail. I remember this particular mentor, Dr. Ondeko, you will get to meet her one time. She's a former board member at ELF. She was telling me, Karen, I started a medical practice as a chiropractor. I failed, but I kept going, I picked up. So keep running. Yes, you will fail, but you will do. So have people in your life who see the beauty, the potential in you, and I hope you can then also have the courage to see that in yourself. That when other people, whether mentors or whoever, or people in your space you admire, but then they look down on you or they say belittling things to you, that you will not allow those things to get to you. You will, you know, push them aside. So please always remember you're valuable, you're worthy. So this final 2 minutes, just one word, parting shot. One word, parting shot. If you just have one thing to share with our amazing leaders here, and the larger audience on social media, what would that one thing be? We can start with you, Opondo.
Okay, I think we've shared almost everything, but mine would just be a message to all of us as Kenyans and also everyone who is watching. So number one, thank you so much for hosting us here and having these kind of conversations, because these are conversations that we rarely have. Secondly, I know as a country we are going through a very hard time right now. People have lost their jobs and life has become so difficult that so many families cannot even make ends meet. But let's not give up, because it is only when it is dark that we can see the stars, as someone said. Let's keep on doing what we are doing to make our country better. But even also as young professionals in this room, honestly, what Kenya needs right now is just service. Deliver it to your maximum. That's what we are looking for right now. Then we'll be able to push this country to where we want to take it. This nation is not worth dying for, but is worth living for. Let's fight and make this nation a better place for every person. Thank you.
Hey, Maze, this nation, tweetable tweets. So Stella, before you take it on, please remember the song. I know you composed the song. I'll come back to you. We'll close with that. Stella?
To PSELF fellows, everyone watching us online, I'll say, have the courage to go for what you want and to say what is on your mind. I think we were talking the other day and I said, even if your voice is shaking, even if your tears are balancing, even if you hold a mic and you're like this, say what you want to say. The next time you do it, you'll shake less. But at that time, you will not be shaking. But don't stop yourself from saying what you want or going for what you want. Have courage to do it.
Thank you very much. Joe?
Yeah, it's been really a very great session. I've really enjoyed myself and learned a lot. And I would say this, the reason why the world right now, and especially Kenya, has very many irregularities is because of lack of models. And I believe this topic on mentorship is a call for us to be models. So why don't we become models for the people who are coming up, for the people who are growing, for someone who is starting school? Why don't we make sure that they have models even as they grow up? So mentorship is about sometimes, is there anyone up there that can see, that can be able to represent some very strong values that I can be able to want to emulate? So let us give children, youth, a chance to be able to have models that can be able to foster our nation forward. Other than that, when we look for mentors, how do we catch their attention? So make sure you know what they're doing. Do you watch their videos? Do you know their speeches? Have they written a book? Have you read it? You know, just show them that they need you. So how do you find a place of need for your mentor? Then try to, you know, like remedy that place of need. Then they'll bring you closer. Because you would understand that somebody like Karen would be mentoring a lot of people. There is the whole youth of Kenya looking up to her. Next would be, there's, you know, even like Jesus. Jesus had the crowd, then had the 700, then had the 12, then had the 3, then had the 1, which is John. So how do you make sure you're the one? Maybe that's a question I would pose even as we close.
Hey, Mase, Joe went him deep. Hey, thank you. Patience.
Yeah, thank you, Karen. I treasure our friendship, and thank you for this opportunity to talk to the young people here and those who are getting into in this mentor-mentee relationship. I wish you success in what you do. So I put a statement which I wanted to say that when I read it, it will be less time. Mentoring is conveying the experience, gained wisdom, insights, and lessons that one has learned in life. Mentors are like beacons. They are guiding lights for younger people. And the aim is to help them understand their potential, their strong points, and also inspire and motivate them. Being a good mentor also takes an emotional commitment that, much like parenting, its drive is to help the person succeed in their goals. So always be driven by your passion. Do what sets your soul on fire.
Thank you very much. Do what sets your soul on fire. Back to you, Okoth.
Okay. Do you want us to finish that way?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's this great song. I learned it in Rwanda. It was originally done by Sergeant Robert, and I think in Rwanda they use it a lot. If you've ever attended anyone here has ever been to any conference in Kigali? Yes? Perfect. We did this song in 2019 with 5,000 people and President Kagame, and I mean it was lovely. It's just a clarion call. Kenya itajengwa na nani? Kenya itajengwa na sisi wenyewe. Sawa sawa. Afrika itajengwa na nani? Afrika itajengwa na sisi. Si tusimame basi tumalizie vizuri sasa. Okay, tengenezeni sauti wenye wako na base waunde base vizuri. Stretch kidogo, nataka wimbo ingie ndani kabisa. So this is how the song goes. Kenya itajengwa na nani vijana? Then the answer is Kenya itajengwa na sisi wenyewe. Sawa sawa. Kenya itajengwa na nani vijana? Kenya itajengwa na sisi wenyewe. Perfect. Then the other line inaenda na sisi wenyewe. Na sisi wenyewe. Sawa sawa. We can clap, we can snap, whatever we want to do. Kenya itajengwa na nani vijana? Na Kenya itajengwa na nani vijana? Na sisi wenyewe. Na sisi wenyewe. Na sisi wenyewe. Sing. Nairobi itajengwa na nani vijana? Nairobi
itajengwa na sisi wenyewe.
Mombasa itajengwa na nani vijana?
Mombasa itajengwa na sisi wenyewe.
Murang'a itajengwa na nani vijana?
Murang'a itajengwa na sisi wenyewe.
Na maji italetwa na nani vijana?
Na maji italetwa na sisi wenyewe.
Ni sisi wenyewe.
Iye, ni sisi wenyewe. Iye,
ni sisi wenyewe.
Iye, ni sisi wenyewe. Iye.
Watoto watalindwa na nani vijana?
Watoto watalindwa na sisi wenyewe.
Wazazi watalindwa na nani vijana?
Wazazi watalindwa na sisi wenyewe.
Chakula italetwa na nani vijana?
Chakula italetwa na sisi wenyewe.
Ni sisi wenyewe.
Yeah, ni sisi wenyewe.
Kwa jamaa kuja hapa. Ni sisi wenyewe.
Yeah, ni sisi wenyewe. Yeah,
ni sisi wenyewe.
Yeah, ni sisi wenyewe. Yeah.
This is the other line. Vijana, wazazi, vijana, watoto, tutumishe amani, umoja na upendo. Wazazi, vijana, watoto, tutumishe amani, umoja na upendo. Ni sisi wenyewe.
Ni sisi wenyewe. Yeah.
Ni sisi wenyewe.
Yeah, ni sisi wenyewe. Yeah.
Afrika itajengwa na nani vijana?
Afrika itajengwa na sisi wenyewe.
Afrika itajengwa na nani vijana?
Afrika itajengwa na sisi wenyewe.
Ni sisi wenyewe.
Yeah, ni sisi wenyewe. Yeah,
ni sisi wenyewe.
Yeah, ni sisi wenyewe. Yeah.
More power and more blessings to you. Asanteni sana.
Woo! Wow, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much, panelists. Let's appreciate the panel. And let's appreciate ourselves. Let's appreciate ourselves. Thank you so much. Na tukumbuke Kenya itajengwa na sisi wenyewe, Afrika itajengwa na sisi wenyewe. Let's go and enjoy our tea break.
Asante.